Hello and welcome to another episode of Never a Straight Answer, the podcast that aims to cover a wide range of topics from conspiracy theories to popular culture and news. I'm your host Gaz, and joined via satellite link-up and remote from his house in who knows where. He's the original Space Ranger from Infinity to Beyond. It's Mr. Taylor.
Yeah. Hello.
Hey.
Good evening.
Oh.
Right, people.
Hello. How's it going?
Yeah.
It's been a minute. It's been another week.
It has.
I've been another week of lockdown. To be honest, right, I thought this shit should be like kind of phasing out a bit now, and it's not. It's still here.
Well, it's going to be phase out next week, isn't it? They're trying to get kids into school and
Do you think that's a good idea?
Too early, so.
I think it's still a little bit too early, to be honest.
Bring the second epidemic.
You think it's going to be the second wave? I do think that myself, to be honest. I think they're doing things a bit too quick. I think like you give people an inch, they take a mile, and you say you can kind of loosen the laws and stuff like that. Just look at the beaches over the bank holiday weekend. It's been
260 miles for some people.
Fair, there's been literally packed, and people aren't really paying attention as much as they should in terms of the social distancing, and even the journalists poking fun at people in the news are kind of not observing this. They're all kind of chasing people around, and they're all kind of doing it in a little pack. So it's like we were looking at one of the
so they could get all the pictures. And
exactly. We were looking at one of the stories tonight, which we'll talk about a bit later on. Who is it? What's his name? Dominic Cummings, yeah. And how outside his house he's trying to put the bins out, and you've got all these paparazzi just absolutely swarming him, and it's like you're not observing the 2 meter distance, guys. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Regardless of what he's done. Do you know what I mean?
Both going like, can we get past? Like, move out of the way.
I know, yeah.
They're like, what asked you this? What asked you that? And it's like,
there you go. How have you been anyway? What have you been up to this week? Anything interesting?
Same old, mate. I've just been looking at different little stuff, actually. I was watching, not that long ago, about animals in the play.
Animals in the what?
And play, and what it means, like the different effects of, playtime when they're younger and growing up, and like fighting and toy fighting and stuff like that.
Okay, and like how,
interesting.
But in the animal kingdom.
Yeah.
And how that relates to what? That's quite interesting, actually. What have you found out about it? Come on, share with the people.
I think it's black bears. No, grizzlies. Grizzly bears fight 80% of the time. Toy fight.
You see cats and dogs doing it when they're kittens and puppies. They're always scrapping with each other, and it's kind of like dominance and boundaries and all the rest of it. They learn a lot from that, don't they?
Yeah, true. But they actually thought it was because fight. When they get older, they're going to be like the daddy of the place.
Right.
But it turns out the figures show that it's not actually that, and they were looking for another reason. And it turns out it's to do with affection and stuff like that, instead of what we would really think it mean, like, going out and kicking the shit out of the next player, you know what I mean?
Well, no, but I mean, in some ways, it does teach them defense skills, but it is an affection thing, isn't it? It's like, I think in the animal kingdom, there's a lot of different sort of like the body language, how we perceive it isn't the same. It doesn't add up to the same sort of thing. Do you know what I mean?
But that conclusion didn't actually turn out to be the conclusion.
Okay.
It actually turned out to be when baby bears are stressed, they go up trees.
Do you like fucking shimmy up the tree?
They're stressed, and they won't come down until they're really not stressed, and apparently it's hard for a bear. So to de-stress themselves, it was to play as they were younger, because they're going to soon be basically kicked out of the cave and on their own. And it was to control the stress of the animal when it goes off on its own.
Oh, right, okay.
Like, man, and it was like these birds as well. There's some kind of birds that play all the time.
Right,
But it
okay.
actually turns out to be only if one of them wants to play. If none of them want to play, then
They just get left out.
Shit. The mad little
Okay.
fuckers.
What was that on? Was you just finding that stuff on YouTube, or?
I was
Or was it a
looking for
documentary, or
anybody-
just something you came across on the TV?
Something I came across on the TV.
There you go. See, the
BBC, I think
mainstream
it was.
TV does have some occasional pearls on
Yeah,
occasionally.
it does. Mostly
Um,
shit, but sometimes it does have the occasional good thing.
I end up just watching a lot of stuff, just obviously on YouTube or streaming.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so this week I can't even really recall much of what I've watched. I've been watching stuff, repeat watches of things. A lot of kind of like, Brooklyn Nine-Nine and easy watching stuff. But to be honest, a lot of my free time this week has been spent playing COD, Call of Duty Warzone, which is
When you can with someone.
when you can, yeah, because this is the problem. This is what I was going to talk about. I mean, server issues at the moment. I don't know if anyone else or any of our listeners are facing this type of interruption with due to Corona, because there's so many kind of like services that you take for granted, like your internet, streaming services like Netflix and Amazon Prime and these types of things. With the strain and demand at the moment, it's kind of like, have you been facing any issues? I mean,
Yeah, fucking loads
of issues. I think like what was it? The best one was like the other night where literally Xbox Live servers were having a hissy fit,
Friends were on.
and
They were
fucking
on. They were
you
on.
couldn't get in a party, you couldn't get in a game. It was just like Friday night, what a bust. And so even now.
And
My
they've just done
fucking
a new
computer's
update as well.
going high CPU detected.
But then now you can't get it for free now. You'd have it free for a while, but now they've stopped it.
But they did that a while ago as well, because I always used to like rely on them. Do you know when you buy a game and you get like a little voucher code and it'd say, 2 weeks Xbox Live, free Xbox Live, and you'd be like, brilliant, I'll throw that in a drawer. Yeah. There'll be a time when my Xbox Live runs out and I'll need that like just to tide me over till I get to the shop. Oh no, now they've stopped existing users being able to redeem those codes, because they say, well, you've tried Xbox Live, you know what it's all about. You need a free trial. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they won't let you, they'll only let you as a new customer to use those free trials you get in games. And now everything's digital anyway. So it's probably a case of that it won't be an issue in the future.
The small print.
Always read the small print.
There's no date to say that this is due this only lasts till this length.
Mm-hmm.
Which I must admit, majority of them do that nowadays. They haven't got that one. Well, there's no date on it. I could have it in like 2256 if I wanted to. Well,
Always read the terms and conditions.
Yeah, because it's a set contract. It's a contract.
Yeah, it's always read the terms and conditions.
Shit, man.
Some thingies will apply. It's always that type of shit. Well, we've got a good show coming up for tonight. We're interested. It's an interesting one because we've been talking about it on and off. But I think in terms of like comedy, it's got a quite good scope.
It's got new series as well.
It's got a couple of series coming off the back of it. One being from Steve Carell, and the makers of The Office, who have brought out their version of what they expect the Space Force to be about. And
I haven't seen an advertisement of it yet.
I've seen one trailer and it looked. I don't know how. What do you expect? I mean, but
I expect it to just be a hyped up, like right.
it's a workplace. It's a workplace situation comedy, isn't it?
Fucking tanks up there. They've got fucking everything up there, and
Do you know what? It'll be a case of that, like they tell the people that it's about one thing, and we're going to talk about this later on tonight, because this is pretty much like, you might have heard Donald Trump, back in 2019 announced that there was going to be a new department of the armed forces. Starting, he told everyone, So he's, Trump came out and he said, starting next year, 2020, we're going to have the first US Space Force.
Yeah.
Space Force. It's just like, what? So we're going to be talking about that tonight anyway, and trying to work out what the fuck they're going to be doing. You know, pew pew pew, pow, pow pow pow, flying through the space, protecting Earth from the wisdom of the universe. What?
That's what we're going to do. We're going to try and conquer the universe.
But the thing is, it's not the human Space Force now, is it? It's the US Space Force. They're not protecting Earth's interests, they're protecting the United States interests and her United States and her interests. So we'll talk about.
At the end of it now is called Federation.
Yeah. Well,
That's
this is it.
They
I'll
changed the name to Federation.
We're going to go into this a bit later on because this is how a certain federation got started in one respect or another. Is this the dream? Are we going to be living the dream?
A lot of that program as well. There was
influenced, obviously, flip phones, fucking. I mean, like, in terms of science fiction becoming science fact, a lot of gadgets and stuff that we've got today, were communicator. Yeah, exactly. Flat screen video calls. They come from they come from sci-fi, initially, and it's interesting stuff, really. But anyway, we'll be talking Space Force and everything that we found out and what we can kind of summarize from it. Because it's a funny one. But before that, we're talking about the segment we normally talk about before we go into the main topic, and that is what's fucked up where you're from.
Yeah.
This week, we've had an email from Troy. All right, Troy.
Troy.
Was it?
Has he got any horses?
I don't know. Oh, hey, you like it? No, I like fucking. I keep thinking of Troy from the Goonies. Do you know the dick? Sorry, Troy, if you're a nice guy, but Troy, you're gonna go up on Troy's bucket. What?
There's a magician called Troy.
Oh, is there?
Pretty good as well. Yeah. British magician. Yeah.
Oh, he's a Brit.
For a while, actually, he did pop out for a.
He did pop in, but then he Houdini'd out of here, and I've not seen him since. Did he? I'll have to have a look for Troy the magician. I like a bit of magic. Do you know what I mean? Nothing better than magic. Well, Troy is from Blackpool. Yeah, we're travelling all the way to the north, Las Vegas. To find out what's fucked up where Troy's from, and obviously anyone from the Blackpool area. Troy says that when it's the off season here in Blackpool, it can look a bit fucked up, and especially with Corona at the moment, it's a bit kind of like a Scooby-Doo mystery backdrop. Is there any chance I could have a look into what's fucked up in Blackpool? You'll be interested to find out what's happening and where the most paranormal places are. So cheers, Troy, for getting in touch. Is Troy your real name? I'm dubious. Anyway. So, I was gonna say, what's fucked up in Blackpool. Troy is around. Right, okay. The Frenchman's Cove in Blackpool. Okay. Frenchman's Cove is the South King Street premises, which is housed Duckworth's Tobacco Warehouse. Reports of owner Billy Johnson have included that all workmen in the building, in the cellar, have thought that someone or something has been watching them. Billy got sent an article and photograph from the time the warehouse was built, and this revealed that the ghost in question came from Scarborough and was called Laura Scoons. To this day, late at night, staff still feel somebody or something watching them. And that's the Frenchman's Cove in Blackpool. So if you've ever been in there and you feel something watching you, you know why? It's Laura. Well, I don't know, maybe. It's haunted premises. The Fox Hall is Blackpool may owe its early reputation for healing the sick in mind and body to Parasite who took a priest a priest who took one in the same thing really, aren't they? Refuge in the isolated building of the Fox Hall in the 17th century. The original building was far from grand. It was long, low, three gabled residence which resembled a farmhouse. Its 3 stories each had 4 to 5 rooms with low ceilings, and the ground floor included a private chapel. There, in the small lead tower on the top of the house, Blackpool's first tower, gained from within a staircase. The thick walls continued many hiding places, or contain many hiding places, or priest holes, and secret passages. Over the years, the house turned into a hotel and then a public house, and many spirits over the years have been seen, and a range from priests, smugglers, and aristocrats.
Yeah, because I think they made the money.
Yeah, totally.
What you fucking doing?
So lots going on there. And the old coach house, the former vicarage, as basically one of the oldest buildings in the South Shore, owned by Claire Smith, and has been told to guests about the spirits that reside and watch over the guests. Okay, allegedly the guests told her that a male figure was standing at the end of their with them eating a meal, and was wearing a cap, an old black cloak, and a second spectre, a female with a name of Sherry, and looks after the dining room. Many guests have seen them, but to date, the owners haven't.
Oh, right, so the owners have whatever fucker else.
I think it's all down to, your perception as well, isn't it? If you're a perceptive person and you're kind of open to that, you might have a bit more joy seeing a ghost. It's like, to be honest, I might not.
I think kids see more than anything.
They say animals do. Animals have got a bit of a sense about them, haven't they? So, like, I think, like, children more as well, a bit more open-minded. And then, like, as you get older, you get a bit more...
you've been setting a set route.
Yeah. So, I mean,
my
house, somebody who's more perceptible to seeing ghosts could walk in and say, "You've got ghosts, I can see them." Yeah. Whereas I go, I don't see anything. Just quite happily getting along with my day. Do you know what I mean?
Seen, didn't he? And he said you had ghosts.
Actually, that's true. I've had people say my house is over 100 years old, so potentially.
So,
I expect them. It's had a lot of history, and like I say, I think I've said this in a previous episode. It's nice to feel like, I'm just a little part of the story of this premises. Do you know what I mean?
That's right.
So,
part of their story.
talking about, this is an area of Blackpool that most people will recognise and most people will be acquainted with. Blackpool Pleasure Beach has not one but several ghosts that reside on the famous amusement park. If you dare, the ghost train itself, where footsteps of a cloggy, a former ride operator who died wearing clogs. So you'll hear footsteps of clogs can be heard. A late grandfather who worked as a joiner basically had to repair the tracks, and when he asked him, he says, there's something watching over us. Also, at the Star pub, there's been many sightings of a shadowy male figure in the cellar, living accommodation, and Morgan and Griffin's bar. Basically, he said said to bear resemblance to Karl Marr. 5 years ago, the workman claimed to have spotted him. 4 years ago, the figure was seen again at 3 a.m. walking into the bar before disappearing. Others going on include the moving pictures on the walls on the first floor of the building, and the sound of a woman singing, glasses and bottles being moved, and lights being switched on and off. But not to mention the disturbing black figure in the cellar itself. So that is actually proper haunted.
That sounds like a good place.
Not only that, Blackpool Pleasure Beach has also got the ghost of a small female child aged about 9, and it said she's been seen at the Sir Hallam Maxim gift shop, and basically Sir Hallam Maxim Flying Machines is the oldest ride in the park, built in 1904, and about 3 years ago an item moved itself overnight to a completely different spot.
Oh, God. What kind of first? What kind of item could it have been? Something like a small something.
Potentially, I don't know.
Is it fucking like I've just taken that wheel and gone, yeah, big deal there?
Yeah, if it was something really weighty that and then
was,
you'd think it was Blackpool Pleasure Beach, so they'd have some sort of like CCTV.
Yeah,
I'd like to see that. Last thing though,
I want to know what the other is now.
The ice rink obviously has claimed to have several spooks as well. Various things have happened and been seen backstage in the dressing rooms. Perhaps previously shows skaters of years gone by. Yeah. Later at night, people have seen somebody skating on the ice, and when they've gone to look, there was nothing there. Lights and equipment move on their own accord, and doors have been wide open when they've been closed and padlocked. Staff working late nights and walking across the tractor bay have felt really cold chills to the bones and evil and an awful presence.
Well, you know what? I'd say two things on that.
Go on.
One, the atmosphere. Like, is it properly like done? Because when you were saying about the sounding like someone was going across the ice, now the first question that went to my mind was there any tracks?
Yeah. Was there any sort of kind of evidence to say that there was somebody there?
Could it have been under the ice? It was like, you get.
Maybe they were just tired and they just saw something in the corner of their eye. Yeah, maybe.
It might have been. There might be.
They needed some fresh Zamboni.
Yeah.
Well, here's another one from Blackpool. In December 1936, the Blackpool Evening Gazette carried out an article entitled "The Carlington Ghost." A Leighton taxi driver claimed that he'd seen a ghost with a green face near the gates of the Carlton crematorium, where 5 years previously a lone widow had been bereft with death, battered to death nearby Robbins Lane, a quiet area of Charlton, and perhaps the green face had been the poor woman's ghost. The taxi driver picked up a young lady from the North Station and took her to the crematorium. He pulled up outside the gates and found himself staring at the face of an old woman. So, hang on. There's a bit more to it here. The man, a man with he found himself looking at an old man with a sunken face, long dark hair and a punched-like nose. A woman screamed and jumped out of the cab and ran off. Harry, the driver, watched as the face moved in front of his cab and disappeared. Right. So it was it was enough to shit up the woman, and she ran off. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Pretty fair.
Yeah. So there's quite a few stories. I've got. I mean, in terms of kind of what's going on in Blackpool, it seems to be a bit of a hotbed. We've got the tale of the Illuminations building on Rigby Road, the unknown ghost, Jill Cook, who basically they had to get psychics involved. The Kitty Breaks, Kitty Breaks, who was found among the sand dunes near basically St Anne's near Blackpool. She was basically shot 3 times with a revolver, and then obviously it was a murder. Many holidaymakers and locals over the years have claimed that they've seen a sad wandering spirit of a woman walking over the sand dunes.
That could be just like...
That could just be somebody having a mooch over the sand dunes, just going, having a bit of thinking time. And it's like, if you had a bad day, it's like you're looking a bit miserable and you're walking around the beach to try and clear your head. Do you know what I mean?
Can't be bothered.
Well, as always, I check into what's going on, what's fucked up in the area, but I also look into the local paranormal investigating teams.
Yes, have we got any Ghostbusters there?
We've got some Ghostbusters, local Ghostbusters, who are, if you want to investigate them, you can go to www.ghostinvestigationteam.co.uk.
Sounds like they've got their hands full.
They have. Well, they have indeed. Their bio reads, "We began our ghost investigation journey back in 2004 after watching a new series of ghost investigations on the TV. called Most Haunted. In 2002, the Living TV channel, this is when we got the bug. We went and bought the same equipment they were using at the time, namely being infrared video cameras, spotlights, EMF meters, and digital thermometers, which we all still use today in our search for scientific proof of ghost activity and supernormal and paranormal activity.
Very good.
So, if you want to, if you need them, if you've got a problem, no one else can help, and you've got some spooky spectres in the area, why don't you get onto ghostinvestigation.uk and they'll hook you up. Yeah. I just think it's quite.
Not busy enough,
they might be busy at the minute.
Sound like they're busy at the moment, yeah.
But
for a while.
That's it. There you go. That's what's fucked up where you're from this week. Thank you, Troy, for your email. Yeah. If you want to help, or you want to get involved and let us check into your area and see what's fucked up where you live, all you need to do is email neverstraightanswer@gmail.co.uk or
right there.
neverstraightanswer@gmail.com. It's there. Says it.
Right there. Yeah.
Well, no, go to the website. You can contact us that way as well. Also, just let us know if you want to get involved. No. People are getting involved on this, and I like it. So thanks for the emails. Really appreciate it. Or just hit us up on Twitter or Instagram or wherever you do your social media stuff.
Yeah.
Sweet.
There's a lot of areas now.
Sweet. Well.
Sweet as
that.
Like a diamond.
So cheers, Troy. Loved going Blackpool. You're only local as well, which is only up the road. I love going Blackpool, sticking me 2p's in the 2p machine.
Oh yeah.
Doing if they're glued. Doing the old Bertha. What was it? Did you see Bertha in Blackpool where you get the balls and you'd have to fucking feed Bertha?
Yeah, I played Bertha.
Yeah, and then she'd give you tokens or tickets.
Yeah. Oh, those you got to get like 5,000 of them for like a rubber stamp.
Yeah, or just a rubber. Just be like, fucking hell. The exchange rate on these tokens are fucking ridiculous.
It's scandalous.
Isn't it?
Like bankers.
I think if you like save up $1 million, you could get a vase or a vase or something stupid. Or those porcelain dogs that sit at the end of your fireplace. Yeah, get 2 of them. If you're really good at Bertha or the Arabian Derby.
Or forgetting.
We're racing on the Arabian Derby here, so play it now. Roll the balls and get the scores. Ride the camel, the prize is yours. What? Yeah. That's the site. It amazes me every time. Anyway, moving swiftly along, right? Space Force. Space Force. Let me just say it again. Space Force.
Well, come on, let's get it right.
Can I join?
United States.
I want to join. Can I join the Space Force? Anyway, let's go. From, like I say, since the 20th of December 2019, Donald Trump announced that, the Space Force is legit. It's going to be an actual department of the Ministry of Defense when it comes to... Is it the Ministry of Defense or is it the...
No, it's...
we have the Ministry of Defense, but like the Pentagon, the US Defense Department. So you've obviously got armed forces, you've got Marines, Navy,
Naval.
You've got fucking Air Force, you've got what else? No, there's got to be more than that. Infantry. They've got a few. I think they've got 8 branches officially.
6.
Is it 6? Well,
6 branches. This is the 6th one.
The Space Force now is kind of the latest one, and Trump basically said we're going to be starting this up in the new fiscal year, which is, I think, obviously the
legally standing.
We have legally standing because, like, I'll get into this in a minute. Yeah, it's the fact that the Space Force has kind of been going a lot longer anyway. It's just been under the operations that the Space Force is going to be looking after have been taken on by the Air Force for this long. So they're basically just going, right, we're moving you people over here. Currently 16,000 people assigned to the Space Force, and obviously, they're starting the new careers this year, or starting their new sort of assignment. So, current, is the best bit of it is like, you know, they're spending 15.4 billion, you know, just including another 10.3 billion on research and development stuff.
And
so
this year, they've had 40 million. That's what they've started off with this year.
How do you mean? What? So, yeah, I know, but that's what I'm saying.
Now the budget is massive.
Are the Air Force going to get any less of a budget though? Because they're not doing a lot of this work now. So are they going to get a lesser budget, or are they going to just get the same budget as they've always ever had? Yeah.
Because you're not going to have any more income, especially now. You're not going to have any more income to actually support it. So you're going to have to take it from the other forces and divide it up even more.
Well, like I say, right. So basically, the United States Space Force is a space warfare service branch, right? That's what it's classified as, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, I said it earlier, defending the Earth from the, you know, that's how it kind of paints it to me, yeah? When you say Space Force, it's like, well, if you need a force, like they used to say, oh yeah, we changed the force to service for the UK police because the force sounded too aggressive. Now, you know, when you're creating a department of your government, which is a defence section of the government, yeah, and it's under the military, you're turning around and saying, we call it a force, then that implies that you've got something to defend against.
To go against.
It's like you need to create this just in case, yeah. So it's like, are they doing it on the idea that we need to do this just in case, or do they know something that we don't, or is it because this is the thing? It's like you kind of get it in your head that it's going to be like spinning it, flying around like out of the outer atmosphere, flying around, going Charlie Dell. We got a bogey on our tail, and they're off like fucking dogfighting like Star Wars. Do you know what I mean? Well, that's how they make. What else does it conjure up, really? Do you know?
Well, true.
Like you were saying earlier, I mean, like the armed forces is obviously the first service. Isn't the first service. The Air Force started in 1947. What was that off the back of, Taylor?
Well, since
Why did they find the need? Why did they find the need for that? World War One.
World War One, they used, and then basically the was building the department up until they actually officially, like how we're going to find out about this Space Force. Officially, they were done a lot earlier, but then actually coming to law and into their own division was in law in 1947. So it was a case of. Instead of going, right, we're going to build this force from scratch.
Yeah.
Right, we're going to get that, and bring it in together, and it might work, it might not. They've gone and did it the right way and gone, right, let's start with a couple of planes.
You're going to say this, though, because you're a bit of a Trump fan, and it was his idea, so you're going to be all like, yeah, it was the best idea.
Well, if you think about it, no, it wasn't his idea.
Okay.
Because like you're gonna tell it come in earlier than what he did. So, but he just put it basically into law that actually from this date you are now a separate division.
They're not beholden to the Air Force anymore, and like now
well, they sort of are in sort of the command structure.
Well, like I say, I mean, in terms of the command structure and like the personnel. I mean, the US has always had a long history in space operations. In fact, the bulk of the Space Force personnel are actually made up from Air Force, which has been in operation since 1982. In terms of the command, basically the command of air, like space sort of stuff. Do you know what I mean?
At that time, Ronald Reagan had brought in power, and he actually brought in the Star Wars.
So even though like the Air Force has been going since 1947, in 1982 they took on a lot more responsibilities.
Yeah.
Tracking satellites, not UFOs, but like unidentified objects. What else? Meteorites, anything that could be a risk to assets they've put up into the atmosphere, I suppose, yeah?
Yeah. Basically anything to do with anything from space coming to us and anything from us going to space. Anything between them divides, they would have a piece of action with it, basically.
Well,
sure.
Fact is, though, the fact of the matter is, space has basically been under military control since we first left Earth's orbit. Yeah.
Yeah.
And why would you think that we need a space force now, or why would America need a space force? Because they're not even our force. Yeah. Why would they feel like they need one now? I've got a couple of conclusions that I think. I mean, but I'm wondering what you might think about it.
I'm thinking they either know something or they're preparing just in case.
Who knows?
Well, one, are they really that intelligent? Let's get it right. Those who are in power, are they really that intelligent to actually do something smart enough for us? No, maybe. More likely to look after themselves than us. Well, or their mates, you know what I mean?
Cool. Well, allies of the states. But I mean, one thing is that I kind of think is satellite defense. They've got big plans about doing this, Mars trip. They're going to be putting a lot of asset, up into space where it's not. Well, it's monitored, but it's not looked after as well. You can't just send out a SWAT team to fucking defend your shit when it's floating out in the atmosphere. These certain countries, obviously, who know the American infrastructure in terms of kind of satellite, how they kind of rely on those satellites for a lot of different informations. Satellites out might get destroyed or kind of, even from space debris, where there could be something out and could fucking plow into one of their satellites. They need to be on the ball, getting replacements, and it has happened. And it has happened, yeah. So I mean, that's where I can kind of see it being a kind of a thing, and why you need GPS one. As well. That's it. Even stuff like GPS.
GPS. I think in the 2000s they needed 80 million to put in to get it. To track it right back onto course.
I think that's it. I think it's more to do with the defence of interests on Earth rather than interests outside of Earth. Do you know what I mean? So if somebody can kind of like attack the economy or attack the states without attacking them or bringing part of their system down, that'd be something worth defending, or that'd need defending, technically speaking, because it's like you're leaving yourselves open by not. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but if you remember shortly beforehand, I can't remember which country it was. I really can't. I think it might have been China. And one country basically turned around and said, we're going to go up to space and we're going to control space because...
It's ours. We're taking it. It's my space. You can't have it. Not sharing.
Controlling the world, control space. You control the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah, technically speaking, that is true. It's like, well, you own the world. I own all the space around the world.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck. You can't do anything. Oh, you're using that satellite. No, you ain't.
It's my space. Can't have that. Yeah. That's in my space. That.
I'm moving that satellite. I'm doing this, that, and the other. But and tracking as well.
Well, there's a lot of kind of repercussions on why you need to kind of keep an eye on what's going on up there. But the idea of battling little green men and dogfights in space, potentially not the full purpose. Now, do you think that they're putting a lot of money and a lot of resources in for such a kind of, just more of a watching job? It seems to be a keep an eye on the skies, boys and women. Make sure that nothing happens to our stuff. But that's just a bit of a sit around job until something happens. Yeah. Now, do you think they'll be putting money into research in those extreme circumstances, like space, ships that can be sent out above Earth's atmosphere, bit F1 jet-like, and these types of missions where they'll be a bit more active in the orbit?
If you think about it, right, you've got like NASA, you've got SpaceX, you've got Lockheed, you've got loads of companies over who are doing.
Of course, there'll be a point when
space.
there'll be
Even
need some sort of policing in space.
Yeah. So you've got now a load of engineers who've more than likely, very possible that they back engineered spacecraft from somewhere else because of the height of the technology.
Area 51,
saying
baby.
about we only get 2% every 2 years of technology, and the military get 40. So by now, they're way immense than what we have now.
Yeah, we should be running out of that stuff by now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
All the stuff that they've supposedly reverse enginered.
Yeah,
it's like maybe that's why nothing good's come out for a bit.
Yeah, but don't forget, unless someone wants to put money into it, I can't remember who it was, a politician, American one, I think it was.
An American one.
If
Hey.
you do not put money into something that the military are interested, it won't go out into public. It's got to be able to be used military before it can be actually sent out to the public. And it's like,
I can believe that.
If you think about the stuff that you've got, yeah, you would have used the TV for a monitor to.
Of course, there's loads of technology
radio.
that not American, but military use, and it was developed because we've discussed this in terms of like progression. Then we as a species we have come a long way based on technology that we've invented surely for purposes of war. Yeah. Not necessarily a good thing. You know what I mean? I mean, fair enough. We got some cool shit out of it. Yeah, but that's it. You're taking the silver lining. It's like, oh right, okay. Well, yeah, there was a World War II, but we got a foreign holiday out of it because now we've got the means to travel abroad faster
or whatever. Planes, we wouldn't have had.
That's what I'm saying. No. It's like, was it a small price to pay, or was it? It's kind of an ethical conundrum, that one. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, because if you think about it, I won't say
it's like, do we need another war to advance the furtherment of man next? It's like no, but in hindsight, it's like, look at this, what's going on at the minute with the corona. It's like, I think in 20 years' time, when all this is behind us, I say 20 years' time because that's probably how long it'll take. Once all this is behind us, I think we'll be better prepared from things we've learnt this time around to face face something similar. Do you know what I mean? No, you can only. Well, that's what you're saying, because technology will have come out of this. It was invented surely because there was a.
Those charge will be.
I think it'll always come down to poor leadership and implementing those things. But in terms of technology. Now there'll be things.
They're already looking at DNA.
Exactly. These things that are being developed now that are only being developed because of the situation we're in. They wouldn't exist if we wouldn't have faced this crisis. Now, that's exactly what you were saying. If we wouldn't have had a World War II, we wouldn't have invented this, that, and the other. Fair enough. I mean, I'm not going to dispute that. Do you think it's paranoid, going back to the Space Force?
Is that what I was talking about? Oh, right, I didn't realise. Go on.
Fuck you. Space Force, yeah. Do you think it's paranoid for them to think that other countries might want to destroy their, that come in and fuck up my satellites? Yeah, bro.
I think the day
throwing stones at my satellite. What are you throwing stones at my satellite for?
The day Sputnik went up, I think they all went, right, when we do it, we're sending it up, but we need to secure it. Because don't forget, the expense would have been immense more than what what it is now today. A rocket was cheaper now than it was like 60 years ago.
We don't have to rely. They don't have to rely on the Russians to send things up for them now on their schedule. They've got their own schedule, which means actually more productive, because obviously that means we've got more rockets going up. There was a time, where Russia apparently did send up astronauts to listen in on their US satellites. What did he do? Because I just get this vision of, do you know, like in old movies when you get the guy shuftying up the telegraph pole and connecting in so he can overhear on the neighbour, you know, like a spy or something like that. I just got this vision of a cosmonaut attached to the side of a satellite listening in.
Yeah. Doctor's thingy, listening to
I've
it.
got
What?
the wrong number. It's a misconnection. Fucking hell.
No, I think of the interruption between the satellite because it wasn't digital back then. If you think about it, it was mono, so they could interrupt the mono and catch the frequency, like a bug in a phone.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I'm gonna put this connector to the wire in between.
So they can just they can basically jack the signal, can't they?
Yeah. So the jacking. So yeah, because if you think about
Still got to send a guy up there to do it though.
Yeah, he needs to go up.
And that's the thing. That's the point, because they're going up there, yeah, right. Sticking a fucking little device on our satellites, their satellites, being able to listen in to what's being said on private lines, the fucking president's line, the prime minister's, whoever's, right?
Yeah.
Being privy to information that's being beamed back and forth from that satellite. Now, without somebody or a space force to go up there and, you know, do spot checks, go up there, it's like, right, routine maintenance, we've got to go and check out, fucking scrape the bugs off, you know, get your spatula, you know, fucking, well, you know, I think that's, you know, flying around space, doubt it, but, you know, unfortunately, they're not going to be flying around in X-Wings or doing anything like that. I think the primary purpose will be to watch the skies and monitor for threats.
CR3B? CR3B and the Tic Tacs.
Tic Tacs?
Yeah, these ones that
yeah. I always see them as cigar-shaped. I always kind of think of them as the cigar-shaped object.
Well, you've got cigar-shaped as well, but you've got Tic Tacs as well, which is small.
So, do you remember that film? Valerian, City of a Million, Planet of a Million, 1,000 Cities, or whatever it's called. It's a really good film, actually. I mean, not the best cast, but it was okay in story. Great comic as well. That at the very beginning of the film has a really good segment where it's kind of like ground control to Major Tom, and everyone's meeting, and all these starts off, you know, Sputnik goes up, and then like the ISS is up, and then a bit more connects to it, another country connects to it, and everyone's kind of getting on, and before you know it, an alien species is connected to it. Do you think that this is the kind of goal, to kind of be like, we're the Space Force, and because we're the Space Force, we've got sheer control and right over kind of that first meeting, the first meet-up, and kind of like, you know, first contact?
No, and the reason why, we proved it time and time again. Do you really think we went to America and went, oh, right, lovely land, I'll come here for holiday, let's go back home? No, we stayed and went, right, we're going to conquer these, we're going to get rid of you.
Yeah, we don't want to fucking listen to your rules anymore. We said this about Mars. I think that's going to be the case when the Martian colonies go, why am I listening to Earth? Because you don't live on Mars, you don't know what the day-to-day rigors of living here are. You know, why should I listen to you? I'm listening to my MP who lives round the corner.
Well, we have no communication, right? We probably, they probably got more chance of being able to communicate to us than us to them.
What do you think?
There's no communication, and then there's, we've proved time and time again that whenever we go somewhere, we enforce our will on
that's true, actually.
It's like Mars or the Moon. Have we gone there to see if we've seen somewhat an alien species there? Would we turn around and gone,
excuse me, we're just popping in. Yeah, that's it.
You know what I mean?
They'd say, no, fuck you, we don't want you here.
Get the nukes. Let's fucking drop it.
We're being invaded.
Test the bodies in that. Get
Well, it's
the
like
equipment that they've got and fucking go.
Exactly, it's like if they turned up here and said, "Oh, we're just passing through. We were thinking about building a base." Yeah. Do you think we'd go, "Oh yeah, crack on"? You know, there's a bit of space over in the fucking outback that you could probably set up shop there. Do you know what I mean? You're used to a bit of desert being Martians, but you know, I've got
stood face to face with an alien, any kind you want, right? What would the first thing you'd do?
Hello. I don't know. It's like you're
going towards it.
Even in terms of cultural differences, it's like in some countries you can give people the thumbs up, and that's an insulting sign. It's like even the banks tell you, don't they? They've got an advert on HSBC where they're like, international kind of culture is kind of key for kind of getting on with people. And it's like, at the end of the day, if you're not respecting their cultures, or you're walking around a country where that's a fucking disrespect, going, all right, mate, but you don't know, then you're going to have a shit time and not know why. Do you know what I mean? Like, now, like you said, you just coming towards someone we consider it as an open, being open, but
you're going to think it's a threat.
I might.
It'd be fear-mongering.
You'd be like, whoa, what the fuck? Get away from me, you weirdo. You don't look like me.
So then you do that, now it looks like it's going to start a fight.
So,
because you don't know what you're doing, and you don't know what you're doing.
I want to bring this up, actually, because I should have turned my notifications off on my phone. Right, so going into space, you'd think that, you're going to want to dress for the part, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Like, make sure that you blended in and, you wasn't too kind of obvious. So this is the camo that the US Space Force have. It blends in so well with the space that, you'd think that would be kind of sufficient. I think they've done a cracking job, honestly, because I can't see. To be honest, I would have thought they would have had something a bit more like this.
Yeah, that'd be more like it.
You know what I mean? That really blends in. I think, you're going into space, you want a uniform that kind of fits into the environment. Now, obviously, this.
Yeah, but if you
and I wonder how many billions of pounds they spent, or dollars they spent researching that little gem of fashion. What? Potentially, could have been. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, well, some of them do like each other's like, I like that design. Well, the original person didn't like the design.
Green and brown camo, though. Do you know what I mean? It's like
landing on a fucking surface.
Well, it depends. You've got to be prepared for all eventualities. If you land on Endor, you're fucking sweet, aren't you? Do you know what I mean? You get fucking some Ewok action. But other than that, or if you land on a desert planet, then I'd like to think you're going to Mars. You go for the orange camo, because that's going to be a bit more orangey browns, because that's going to blend you in a bit more. But fucking what do I know? I'm a civilian. You know what I mean? Anyway, what do you think of the camo? Do you think it's fucking unnecessary? A lot of money wasted there?
Well, if you think about it, if you're gonna, you're only going to be wearing it within the ship. So it's only between using it. You're not as if you're going to be walking up to the alien and going,
how do you know?
Sneak up behind you and punching your guru.
How do you know? How do you know that's not going to be the case? And how do you know you're not going to have to get out of your ship and go and fucking salute some general alien fucking ambassador, right?
No atmosphere. And have you seen the spacesuits?
As
well.
well.
The chunky bastards in there.
So what, you're suggesting that they camouflage the ships instead?
Well, yeah. Like you do it, you camouflage the ship, but it doesn't look like there's anything there.
Oh, we were talking about this as well. So there's been a couple of developments, obviously, with the Space Force hierarchy. Well, there was one who died recently, weren't they? Well, you were telling me about this. Go on, give us the lowdown on this.
Found dead in his own home.
What happened? Was it anything related to, his position, or?
No, apparently Tom, Colonel Tom...
Ground control to Colonel Tom.
Valorant, I think.
Commencing
in charge of the 21st wing. Next wing. And he was found basically. Apparently there was no indication.
No untoward, anything untoward. Because...
Then again... they wouldn't tell you if there was anyway.
So, are NASA hand in hand with this Space Force now? Or are NASA going to slightly slip away? Or are they going to be more in control of the technical aspects of getting out into space? Because I'm sure that they're going to have some sort of involvement with NASA in terms of, getting out into space and stuff like that.
But NASA's put out a communication last week about how we want to get to the moon by 2024 and expect everyone to get to Mars. but they want now they put down the rules for all the countries to join together, so we can all actually have
people all over the world.
Yeah,
join
so we all
hands.
actually doing our little bit, like we do
funny,
the oxygen tanks, they do like
they all kind of bring their expertise, but it's funny at the moment because obviously now that Cape Canaveral and fucking NASA and the US basically have got their own capabilities to get out into space. They've got a whole program of things happening at the moment. They've got the all-female spacewalk happening this week. They've also got the first rocket to go from Florida for fucking 3 decades, I think it is. That's going up in the next couple of days as well. There's loads of things happening. Obviously, but there's when you were telling me about the death of the general, another story it kind of popped into my head that there's one of the kind of high ups for NASA. Basically, he's a commander or something of kind of the manned missions, right? So anytime there's a manned mission, he's in charge of the personnel who's going all this stuff. He's been in the job for fucking years, So I think he's done this job for 40 years, right? Yeah. Now, in fact, I've got a photo of him here somewhere. Now he basically that's not it.
Way up.
That's him, right? So this fella here, he suddenly quit a week before launch, right?
Yes.
Turned round and said, it's nothing to do with the launch. It's nothing to do with anything safety or anything like that. It's nothing to do with any particular reason. He says, really? I made a mistake, and I've got to kind of live with that mistake. Won't elaborate on what his mistake was, but after 40 years in the field, I'd think that, it must be something pretty fucking bad. Yeah, that he's bowed out of his job. Fuck knows, but he's basically saying that whatever his mistake was, if it was recent or not, who knows. But it seems quite amazing that he's stepped down in such a time when there's so much press surrounding his field. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I can only really think of two, and that's Challenger. There was a part that wasn't fixed on properly, but I can't see that in. And the one with the drilled hole in the ISS. That's the only two that I could really think of.
The hole in the maybe. Well, I thought knows. I mean, obviously, the stuff that goes on behind closed doors. That we don't know about. And obviously, it just seemed quite amazing that with all this that's going on, with all the plans they've got for the upcoming sort of space adventures.
Of ships that haven't gone up, some rockets that haven't gone up, which should have. There could have been something. There could have been an issue on something like that. I'd imagine they didn't actually take off. They caught it right in time, and he's killed it.
Yeah. Last thing in terms of Space Force. In fact, I've got a few more bits, but the flag has been announced.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Do you not like it? Here we got a picture of him at the White House in the Oval Office unveiling the flag of the United States Space Force. Go on, what's the issue?
I haven't really got the issue with the flag. I've got the issue with the actual patch that
Do you think they always use that kind of vector image in anything space related as well, don't they? Which they've gone for again on this one. But what's the patch? What's the patch that you've got an issue with?
It's basically the same there, except for the writing at the bottom isn't there.
Oh, it does say it's a department. I think I've used it on our graphic this week, so you'll see it if you on Twitter or anything like that, or it'll probably be the YouTube graphic as well. So you'll see where he's going with that. Department of the United States Defense.
Well, they're not now separate.
Right.
They're separated, so they're not the Department of the Air Force. They slightly get control and get money off them, but apart from that, they're a separate organisation.
Okay.
Basically. That's why it's like the army telling the fucking Navy to do something. But there is always there's a commander in chief bar Trump. There is always someone at the top, the field marshal, and they're usually they come, like we're in the British military, we've got a field marshal for, and you have, I've lost my trail of thought. Something else just come in my head then.
Well, the Space Force mission is the USSF is a military service that that organises, trains, and equips Space Force and in order to protect US and allied interests in space, to provide the space capabilities to join forces. The USSF responsibilities include developing military space professionals, acquiring military space systems, manufacturing military doctrine for space power, and organising space focus to present our combat commandos or commands. Sorry. The office of the Chief of Space Operations says the U.S. Space Force serves a principal uniformed advisor to the Secretary of Air Force on a Space Force activities. The CEO presides over the office of the Chief of Space Operations and transmits plans and recommendations to the Secretary of Air Force and acts as the Secretary agent and carries them out. So basically, they've still got to report any findings to the Air Force. Who then drops them. So it goes through the chain of command. So like, Air Force Space Command, or the AFSPC, was redesigned as the USSF as an initial step, enabling the USSF military members to be reassigned from their current posts. Do you know what I mean? Do you think, like, I mean, obviously these are facts off the fact sheet. If you want and you're interested, you can go to spaceforce.mil about us and find out a bit more. And actually, if you're in the armed forces, you can actually swap over. They're taking applicants at the moment. You can join the Space Force if you like. Send us an email. Let us know what it is like. If you are fighting and traveling around in space, teaching alien women how to love. Do you think this is going to cause, like, inadvertently start a new out of space arms race?
It's already started.
But do you think? Well, I mean, space weapons. Do you think, like, are going to be the next big thing?
It's going to go back to the because DARPA have just asked someone, a company, to make a space ray gun basically for the grant.
Space ray gun.
Anything fast that goes supersonic, because Russia's turning around talking about they've got supersonic weapons. NASA dropped us a kinetic bomb on the moon, to try and test its effects and see what happened there. The Star Wars program, I've seen loads of documents on, like, they've got this rocket and they tested it in the Nevada desert. What it does is it goes like 50 miles down and then it blows 50 miles across.
Right, fucking hell.
So it's like it makes a crater.
That sounds fucking world ending.
Now the development from then and DARPA and all them that have been brought back in, and like the development is just going to be out there. So I believe that they've already been there. They've already got the capability out there.
Fair enough. Well,
I think that's another reason why they, like we was talking about communication. Well, aren't we best off? Hey, little pussycat.
Get away before she attacks me. Go on.
Before the communications, well, like, someone would have had to spoke to him, and it slowly, talk slowly, not just go in and go kick the back door in and go, right, this is that shithole now.
Nicely put. Nicely put.
This is why I believe that there's big communication, because there's too many facts on new elements, new things that have been seen, things that have not been told about, bases and shit that have been hidden. like fucking airports that don't even need to be there.
Loads of them. Yeah, lots of them.
So you've got all these kind of things. There has to be something there to say that there's some kind of communication, and this could be the next step because it's supposed to be opening up more now.
Yeah.
Slightly, but it's supposed to be opening up more because
is it? We can't even open fucking countries up at the moment. Never mind opening up anything else.
This is an aspect of it. You never know.
We're running out of time. We best move on to the news. But that was pretty much everything a lot of stuff we found out about Space Force. Is there anything that you want to throw in? Anything that you found out that is quite interesting or super relevant? No, you're all good. No, so basically, to summarise, I think it's all down to kind of just monitoring, isn't it? I mean, it sounds really impressive, and it's kind of like on the surface, you think, fucking hell, that sounds pretty impressive. Yeah, but when it comes down to it, at the moment, I mean, even the summary on the fact sheet sounds like, you know, they've got big plans for the future. But at the moment, I think it's more to do with protecting their interests on Earth and making sure people don't touch their stuff out in space. So Space Force. There you go. If you've got any questions, or if you've got anything you want to add, leave us a comment on the podcast wherever you find it. Get involved. Send us an email. Would you join the Space Force? Do you think it's our kind of perception of this sort of thing's been glossed by movies over the years, where we've kind of make things a bit more kind of cinematic, shall we say, than things really are.
We've more talk since like the late 90s. There's been more. They've had more interest in trying to stop meteorites or stuff like that happening. This could be a part of that team of, if we need to send a shuttle up there, who do we send? We've got like a little space team here.
Yeah, we've got the Space Boys, the space team, the Space Force. Come on, send the Force, and then it's like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Space Force, go. And then it's it's like basically it's Team America, isn't it? Right. So moving on to the news. It's the news. We've scoured the entire internet all week to try and find you the best and most entertaining news we can find. And in a week that a California man tried to marry his cat, an Oklahoma factory aimed to produce the world record of the 70-foot wind chime, and Captain Tom has been made a Sir. We put out basically the response has been overwhelming. We put out a call for Captain Tom to become a Sir Captain Tom a couple of weeks ago, and do you know what? We done it. We managed it. We smashed it. Cheers for everyone who kind of got on board. But we take 100% credit for Sir Captain Tom Arise.
Well, I'd give him 2%, for doing
for doing his bit. Well, Captain Tom Moore said he was so overwhelmed to find out he was being asked to being awarded a knighthood, and his fundraising efforts. The war veteran raised over $32 million for the NHS charities by walking 100 laps of his garden before his 100th birthday in April. Mate, I wanted
to do 1,000.
Yeah, no,
1,000, and he's made.
He would have done it as well. He would have done it. He's had a chart topper with Michael Ball. He's got a knighthood.
Still royalties coming off that for
the guy's not only a veteran, war legend, fucking captain. You know what I mean?
He's also written in history now.
He's you need these guys. You need these sort of kind of good stories coming through as well. Captain, like I say, we asked him that he would get a knighthood, and I'm really pleased that it's happened so quickly as well. And I'm sure he will be meeting the Queen at some point, to get his knighthood. But obviously, with the 2 meters social distancing and all the regulations involved at the minute. With lockdown.
We could bend over a little bit.
Well, Michael Ball fucking head up to his house, didn't he? He was sat in the garden with him. Do you know what I mean? There's been plenty of... Do you know what? In fact, Captain Tom has probably been less social distant than most of us, to be honest. Yeah, right. He's had that many reporters and people around his house. Yeah.
Cummins is complaining.
Do you know what? I think actually you should leave Captain Tom alone at this point because I mean, the guy's vulnerable. Let him chill.
You know what I mean?
You don't need all them fucking dirty bastard fucking journalists around his house.
He needs to sit down and relax.
There you go. Well, we salute you, Captain Tom. Thank you. In fact, to give you a round of applause because we fucking rate you so much. There you go. Fucking hell, Jake. We salute you, sir. Have you got anything you want to talk about news-wise?
Ooh, Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan, go on.
Rogan.
Fellow podcaster.
Yeah.
Go on. What's Joe been doing? Because I do listen to Joe Rogan occasionally.
Yeah, same mate.
So go on.
He's just told YouTube to fuck off.
Ooh.
And told Instagram.
Is this because he doesn't get? Because they say he's like they don't get really like. Because I can assume. I mean, like we put stuff on YouTube, but I can never imagine us making any money off it because we don't adhere to those fucking god awful bastard fucking laws they make that say you can't say things like
they're ruining themselves. They're going to end up basically everyone going shit. Right, we're fucking off here instead.
Might sound
and that's actually what's happened. Their biggest hitter is gone. Right, I've had enough of your shit. I've just been offered 100 million to go to
is it Spotify?
Spotify, and not only that, Spotify did well as well because their shares went up. What was it? 5.
Well, they're doing this at the minute. They're going after big talent. Spotify. The last podcast on the left's just signed a deal with them, which is a bit kind of shit because I don't listen to podcasts on Spotify. I've got to be honest. I listen to them on other apps. And I had all my settings, I had all my favourites, and I'd get it downloaded straight to my phone. Now, my phone's crap, they don't have much space on it, and I don't think I can handle another app, and, I've got to be honest, the Spotify app crashes a lot, so I ended up taking it off, which means I don't listen to that podcast as much as I'd like to anymore, which is like, so you're probably gaining a lot of listeners and a lot of followers by going on one of these deals, but are they kind of going to lose a lot of people who were into him before they got the big deal? Do you know what I mean? Because I feel like I've not listened to him since they've moved because they're not available on the platform that I want to go on. Now Joe Rogan's done that now, hasn't he? He's taken a big payment to move as a exclusive to Spotify.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd take it myself. I'd take the money myself. I'll be honest. But
I'd take it. I'd snap the fucking
take the money.
But then don't forget over there the tax. What is it? 50% of you. So 50 million's gone straight off.
It's almost 50% here at the minute.
Yeah, and you see, and then all the little other bits and bobs. So I suppose he's going to earn his millions out of it. But but how long for? And what's YouTube doing? You know what I mean? They're basically
they ask you that question when you upload a video. Is this video suitable for under 18s? And you tick the box that says no. Now, if YouTube, what they should be doing now is kind of going, right, well, we know people highlighting what videos are safe for kids to watch and what isn't. So the marketing should reflect the video. So if you've got a video that kind of is a bit risky and a bit more aimed at an 18 year plus market, then the advertising sort of reflects that. So you're not upsetting advertisers because your advertisers kind of are, they're happy to kind of have that advertising market because that's their market. Do you know what I mean?
It creates cash flow.
Exactly. I mean, do it. So you know where I'm coming from, but YouTube have chosen the opposite direction where they say, well, no, if you kind of go against our guidelines, then you just don't get monetized. And it's unfair because there is R-rated content out there, which is perfectly decent content, but it's not aimed at children. Now, is that YouTube's sort of is it YouTube's responsibility then to be able to basically change their platform to make it, if you're comfortable or want to watch like more mature content, then you go through this link, or if you want to watch YouTube Original, which is the normal how YouTube is, or if you want to watch YouTube Kids, you know, you go here. You know, have they got to move with the times, or is it down to the content creators? Because content creators are losing out. Do you know what I mean?
Last time, didn't they? They attacked the content creators and tried basically putting more normal TV stuff, or you know, like programs on. That's what they're trying to do. I can see it from being pushed from like governments talking to them, but it's to me now it's not a free platform no more.
Well, it's not, is it?
It?
Well, I mean, even if you go to your kind of recommends, it's all, you know, instead of seeing YouTube celebrities, I'm seeing actual considered celebrities. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, well, what happened to the guy who I watched because I liked his charming videos and, you know, they were low budget? No, well, now I'm getting high budget fucking stuff with James Corden or whatever, you know, pushed at me because they're trying to be more legitimate and family friendly, and it's like, well, I get that, but you know, you're literally fucking pissing off a very big portion of your user base who built you, who got you to where you are today. Because, you know, if it wasn't for these people generating hits and videos and, you know, like funny viral things and fails and all the rest of it and stuff that might show a bit of boob, then you wouldn't have got them millions and millions of hits, and you wouldn't be as popular as you are, and you wouldn't have all these advertisers knocking at your door going, we want to put our advert on your platform. Because
the problem is it's too easy access to get hold of, because if it wasn't easy to get access, then they won't get the money through it.
Yeah, maybe it's just a fucking, it's one of them, it's a fine line, and it's trying to please everybody. But
everybody, because whoever's bringing out like the computer, they need to take control and go, right, well, are you 18? Yeah, it's like...
Well, is Joe Rogan going to continue to put his stuff up on YouTube? Is that what he's saying now? He won't be doing it anymore. Right, fair enough.
Bye-bye.
Well, there you go. Well, like, it'd be fun, because it's like I say, it's interesting because, you know, I don't consider us YouTubers, even though we put stuff up on YouTube. We're podcasters, and, you know, the main product or the main thing we create is the weekly episode, the show, Now, since the lockdown, we get this byproduct of a video, so fair play, we can make it as good as we can try and make it, you know, because it's going to happen regardless. We make a video comes out of the stream, we make the video, you know, so if they turn around and said, we're going to have to take you off YouTube, no hard cheese. Do you know, because we still got the podcast. I like the podcast. Do you know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? Whereas a lot of people do listen to Joe Rogan or watch Joe Rogan because he makes it more of a show on YouTube. Do you know what I mean? He's got his live feed going and all the rest of it. So, you know, it is minusing. He is kind of like taking a step back in terms of what he's doing, I think.
Yeah, but he's doing the right thing by standing
of course he is, standing up for his own rights and whatnot, So
they just brought in a new thing. If you get caught swearing or being in the first 5 minutes of your video, they take it down.
What's a shit fuck no.
They say, we're past the 5 minutes, mate, so...
Let's get perverse. I've got a news story here. A Russian unnamed nurse wearing a bikini underneath her transparent PPE she's had a bit of a telling off. Got a photo here, because obviously whoever was in the room with her decided that taking a photo would be the best option. 1 second. There we go. So she was doing her duties in South Moscow. And the picture was spotted online by her bosses, and she was called in for a meeting where she said it was too hot, and wearing her normal uniform underneath was kind of like making her sweaty and unable to perform her duties. She didn't see that the plastic PPE that she'd been given was so see-through or transparent. So the regional health ministry said that a disciplinary sanction was basically applied to the nurse, and she's basically been in trouble.
See,
She for not wearing the
She didn't realise.
necessary uniform.
and no, it'd be worse if she wore like a G-string and like nothing on top.
Well,
Then
yeah, I
it'd be
mean, she
worse,
could have been
but
totally nude under there, and if she
Exactly.
didn't know that, that
she's made
it was
mistakes,
so
she hasn't been
see-through, then potentially she could have, it could have been a lot worse,
there. Yeah, she could have gone all commando, mate. You know what I mean?
True, actually, yeah.
Then she's got the embarrassment of that as well. Instead, well, she's only in knickers and bra.
Well, they're saying it's a bikini, aren't they?
Well, it's whatever. He's clothes at the end of the day. She ain't
She's
showing
wearing
what's
clothes.
underneath
What are you talking
shoulders.
about? Can't see no nipple.
You know what I mean?
Can't see no
Yeah.
front bum.
Hey, we were all born naked. You know
That's
what I mean?
true.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Anything else you want to talk about?
Oh yeah. Scientists have just discovered a worm alive, frozen
Right.
in the Antarctic.
Yeah.
For 40,000 years.
Fuck off. That worm's not been there for 40,000 years and it's still alive.
40,000 years.
Don't believe you.
Worms that will are getting picked up. Yeah.
So
Complex organisms that mean that we could. It could change. The
yes,
thing of
here at the
sliding
Worm
on
Society, we found that there's so much we can learn from studying worms from 40,000 years ago. We've studied the worms and we've discovered that they're much like modern worms in terms of that if you cut them in half, they still keep going. Is that pretty much it?
No, basically they're the most complex organism
Worms are.
to ever survive.
Of course they are.
Freezing temperatures for that long.
It makes you think
So,
that because obviously like snakes are cold-blooded, aren't they? Yeah. So a worm probably much the same. Yeah. So if it can survive in those types of temperatures, it's like they've just literally found the Captain America of the worm world.
But as you get
Earthworm
colder
Jim.
and colder and colder, more and more crystals develop, and you
True.
get more and more crystals. That's what tears up you, like
Yeah,
your
of course,
veins and
yeah.
shit.
Like
That's why
but
you
this,
can't.
this might have been flash frozen or something, like frozen in an instant.
It
where
could have
it's
been because if you think about it, we know that the world will tilt, and it's tilting again at the minute, roughly every 10,000 years. So,
right.
and they reckon when that happens, it would happen within a few minutes, less than a few minutes. That all of a sudden, everything would tilt.
The whole
And
shit
like,
just
what the
tilt.
fuck? Yeah, but we
crazy.
haven't been there, so we can't actually say it. But from if you like get a ball, once you tilt it, it's gonna tilt.
Oh, fucking hell. It's funny you should bring up worms, you see, because it's a nice segue onto my next story.
Right.
Which is...
Well, segues.
I like segways. Yeah, I've never been on a Segway, to be
Have you?
honest. Nah, I've never been on one, but I'd love to.
Right.
Well, this is a story from Florida, yeah, and over in the States, a Florida craftsman has come up with a novel way of tackling two problems that they're facing over there, right? So obviously one being the corona pandemic, and the other being a problem with an infestation of pythons. Yeah,
Right.
the snakes, yeah, that damage basically the fragile ecosystem of Florida.
Yeah.
So Brian Wood, 63, he's an all-American Gator Products is a company.
Alright.
He's turned his hand into making designer masks. Yeah. So I've got a photo.
Alright,
He's going out there culling and sorting out the old snake
snakes.
problem, yeah, and then turning them into face masks to tackle the corona problem.
Right.
Check it out. So he's building like proper ventilating masks, with all the
just
components, but the fabric that he's using is snakeskin, and apparently they kind of make really good face masks.
That's a bit fucked up. Think about it.
Well, he says that he's took something that was very serious and turned it into a fashion statement. He said that he had a workshop on the beach, about 25 miles, 40 kilometers from Miami. Wood's got the inspiration from an actual from a cultural source in a meme he saw of a horse wearing a woman's bra over the face as a mask. And he asked his wife if he could borrow one of hers to test out the concept, and it works. He now sells python skin masks on Facebook for $90.
That's a bit fucked, and the reason why is because we won't be in this situation if it wasn't humans collaborating with
animals. Collaborating, I like how you put that there, collaborating with animals.
Yeah.
Interfering with animals.
That's where the flu originally come from. Then we've got like fucking, you know, all different like bird flu, and we had like
of course that's a corona, isn't it? It's one of those where it was transmitted. It can be transmitted animals to humans, and it's, you know, like I said, it's a thing for vegetarianism, isn't it? Where it's like, well, told you, and it's kind of a kick in the balls of vegetarianism as well, because it's almost like, well, I don't eat meat, but there's all this fucking shit that comes out because those fucking meat eaters. Yeah, now I'm not even a vegetarian, but, you know, I can see why they would be, why you would. Yeah, and, you know, most of the time I think I could probably end up being a vegetarian. But
it's like selling skin coats. I mean, back in the day, the 80s, you all wore it and all that.
And walking around in your furs.
Well, you still get people today who've got, like, skin fucking wallets or, you know, handbags and fucking shoes, and it's like...
So I've got a bit of a quandary for you here, talking about your handbag, right? So you're walking down the street, right? You've lost your handbag. It's got $1 million in your handbag. Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, a US family turned in $1 million that they found on the street. A sheriff's department in the US state of Virginia praised the family who turned in 2 large mail bags they'd found in the middle of the road, filled with nearly $1 million in cash.
Oh shit, did they have the same rights over there as it?
What if you find it, you get to keep it?
After 2 weeks, if no one claims it, you get to keep it.
Finders keepers.
Yeah.
Well, Emily Sanchez told local television station WTVR that her family was out having a drive on Saturday when they ran over the bags. At first, the family thought they had hit a bunch of trash, and then they found another bag near in a nearby ditch. It was only after they returned home and realised that they had nearly $1 million in cash, and, you know, in the back of their truck, all wrapped up in two bags. Yeah. But instead of hanging on to it, the family turned the bags into the local sheriff's department, located in North Virginia, in Richmond. So, what would you do?
What would you have done?
What?
What would you have done?
Depends, mate. I'd sit on it for a bit and try and work it out. And then if it didn't come on the news, or, you know, like if nobody questioned me about it,
robbery, or
you know what I mean?
Like
I mean, I'm not being funny, but if I'm sat, I've just found $1 million in cash or £1 million in cash, right? And, you know, I've read it all. I've opened the bag. I've opened the bag and realised it's solid cash. It's not even like, you know, barra bonds or fucking, you know, anything that I need to do anything with. It's spendable money, right?
Yeah, just get a couple of notes.
That's what I'm saying, it'll be like, they'd literally be the day when I need milk or something, and I'd be like, well, a couple of quid out of this is getting skimmed off the top, I'm sorry.
Like, if it happened over here, if you had 2 notes, and they come from a robbery or something, you can be pulled in. But if you have 1 note, you can be done as a mistake. If you have 2 notes, you can get pulled in for actually being part of it.
The sheriff said for someone so honest and willing to give that back, almost $1 million, is exceptional on their part. And that was the Mayor Scott Moser who said that. He said, we're proud that they were responsible in living in their county and being so honest. So
I mean, if you think of it, point on the flip side, that £1 million paid for some old person to, you know, sell their old house so they can go into a home or something like that.
Yeah.
If you think about it in that way, it could be like, you know, it could have been a charity.
Yeah, it could be. They don't know who it belongs to, but on the other side, you could argue that it might have been belonging to a gangster for drugs or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Sit back for a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months, see if anything's been talks about it. If it is a big amount of money.
The thing is, when you if you were to find a large amount of money in the street like that, it's like you're not linked to it in any way in respect to you just happened to came across it in terms of the who stole it, who got it, where it come from. You've literally
you didn't go to the police straight away where they want you to take because they want their cut money, don't they?
I didn't know. Police are buzzing, because they're like, well.
Well, they got a nice cut of money, but still, they might be a bit.
Well, the family said,
"You know what? I could have done that last week. We could have saved blah blah blah."
Yeah, of course. Well, the family said they were so honest, but they just simply did the right thing. It just didn't belong to them. So well done, the Sanchez family, for doing that. And fucking hell, you're honest guys. Well, respect you. What?
Did you know where it actually the money's from?
No, they've not mentioned where it was actually from. But obviously, they're not asked really, are they? As long as let me see if there's anything else I can find out. It was found in the middle of the street, but they believe the money was being sent to the bank, so it was obviously in a transit or whatever. The bags have been delivered to the bags have been delivered to the post office, which this time will ensure that they reach the proper destination. So they don't really say where or whatever.
Hey, yeah. Oh, see, unlucky, man, because the Fed would have paid for that. It's federal insurance, isn't it?
Anything else you want to talk about?
There's a little issue in Poland at the minute.
Is there? Not Hitler again?
No, but it's another issue of starting fucking war.
Oh, there's always was.
Yeah, the US have. Well, you remember a couple of years ago when the America wanted to put defence systems in Europe, and Russia kicked up and went, "Oh no, you do that, you're going to kick it off and all this shit." So they didn't do it.
Yeah.
Well, they've actually done it.
They just go in and go to Trump and go,
"There's a defence."
Hi, Trump. I'm your new defence against the dark arts teacher.
I think it's more because of China than Russia.
Right.
But I think Russia's going to have something to say about this. So. The America and their alliance and
the Rebel Alliance,
their friends, just need to watch out at the minute, because if Russia's going to start kicking off, and China's already started kicking off, they're growing some fucking mighty balls at the minute.
They are a bit, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. It only takes. Putin's been quiet as well lately. Don't forget. It only takes.
Yeah, they've been really quiet, because when I was saying about the John Hopkins website and the details about people who have got corona, and it was like Russia just didn't seem to have anything happening, and there was a lot of questions about that, and it just probably turned out that they weren't giving up the info, being very quiet about stuff.
After, I think it was his second presidency, he went away for 5 years. You never heard about it. You heard of his mate, his man who stood in there.
Oh, he was like the vice president for those years. Yeah. He wasn't like, Putin's been in power.
President and Prime Minister.
He's been in power in terms of like in a leadership role in Russia for as long as I can remember. Do you know what I mean? He's one of them where it's like, and he's what?
Since the Berlin Wall, really.
Well, there you go. That's quite a long time. Do you know what I mean? That's not like that's what, when you were talking about long games in terms of government, in running a government, that's what you're talking about. It's like your dictatorships that only kind of happen because you're born into it, or you kind of everyone's too scared to say anything. But there is things to be said about these sort of the way governments are run, in terms of like our government, 4 years. You build up all these new policies, you spend all this money, only for the next ones to come in and say, you're doing a shit job, we're going to tear all that down, we're going to spend more money to do our ideas, and then in 4 years' time, they get their shit torn down and the cycle continues. No wonder this is a shit show. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because they're only going to have a certain amount of money, and whatever shit show went up in 4 years before, they're going to have to take a little portion out of that to stop that shit show and sort it all out, and then put a little bit more portion for whatever they wanted to do.
Yeah. And you get left with the fucking... They say, we got left with the bills of the previous government, but technically it was because they were trying something and it didn't work because it wasn't given a proving time, a good proving ground or whatever. I don't know, whatever the situation is.
The Chinese are long term because they're under one government, but with that, you've got only certain rights.
Oh, very interesting.
That's the issue.
I've got no more news, but I've got a couple of NASA news stories. If you've got anything else you want to add for normal news?
I've got Dominic Cummings.
Cummings. Is he coming? Is he going? I don't know. He's off to Durham.
Minister's advisor.
Now, what happened tonight? Did he end up getting sacked? Because I know, apparently he was coming out to do a press conference and say whether he was keeping his job or not.
Keeping his job. He's the backbone of Boris, basically.
He's Boris's backbone.
Where he was, then Boris won't be in the position where he is now.
Well, Dominic Cummings, right? He's one of those. It's like they seem to be the people who are telling us to do these things, obey these guidelines, make sure we stay indoors, don't see friends, don't see family. You know, are the people who are breaking it on a regular basis. We've had one who was one of the chief medical officers who was caught having an affair. You know, like with his with his lover coming round to his place and him going round to her place. Got Dominic Cummings nipping down to Durham for his second home, you know, because of babysitting or whatever the issue is.
His wife had corona.
Now, I can see that Dominic Cummings being in such a high position. I get where you're saying, because if they had it, then they're risking of spreading it, aren't they?
Yeah, and the kid would have already had it anyway.
So you could argue that he's putting people in danger by moving his family who potentially have the virus around the country. Yeah. Right.
Because when he went to Durham, he ended up someone seeing him in near a castle walking with his kids.
Just up near. Sorry, I've just been up near the castle and I saw Dominic Cummings. Isn't he supposed to be down in Downing Street? And fucking he's outside the 5 metre distancing.
He went back down Downing Street and then come back up and went back home again. It was like, what the fuck?
I realised that wasn't me Durham accent.
Like
Durham's Newcastle. Why, aye, man. Totally saw Dominic Cummings up the road.
Oh, aye.
Why, aye, pet. Saw him down the Grove. Anyway,
biker.
With Spuggy. Anyway, yeah, so he's down Biker Grove, right? Now, you could argue that Dominic Cummings, because like he's in such a, you know, a key worker position, that, you know, like most people in the country have got to deal with like the whole school and all the rest of it. I mean, I might have said this earlier, but I mean, could you let him off for the fact that, you know, he's got to do this job, he needs to kind of make sure the kids are doing what they're doing, and he's in a difficult position. And that was his only alternative. You know, we couldn't get a babysitter anywhere else.
He's in a position where he's shoving out policies, and we have got to follow by.
We do. We've got to follow by example. Exactly. Yeah.
And you know what I mean. So it just doesn't work.
You can't expect the population to do it if you can't do it yourselves. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
But the thing is, I'm sure he's got enough money for someone to come round. I'm sure he's got someone who will come round and babysit. But like I said, the kid would have been infected anyway. The kid would have been infected anyway because of the area of the house. The infection stays on for like 5 days.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
if he's kept his job, no big whoop. If he's like that essential to the fucking runnings and doings and all that. Going off that, I think the media do jump onto these sort of kind of like I said earlier, the media weren't exactly respecting that 2 metre distancing rule there. You know, all he was doing is trying to put his fucking rubbish out or whatever, and he's got hounds of people at his door. I mean, the fact that he did travel, whatever his reasons were, was he wrong, was he right? Is it the biggest issue that we are facing at the moment? Is the biggest fucking question. And you know, to send your journalists out to fucking in packs.
Private journalists anyway.
Potentially, yeah, and they've all got to make a fucking haven't they, a crust at the minute.
Yeah.
Right, well, we've got to go anyway. Well, in terms of like the normal news, because we're running out of time. I've got a couple of NASA stories quickly. If you're loving the isolation at the moment, and you like a bit of isolation, and you're loving the lockdown, then maybe you're ready for this bit of a challenge. NASA are reaching out for a psychological and physical test for subjects to see about problems that they might face with astronauts going on long-range missions to the moon,
Yeah.
to Mars and beyond. The space agency is looking for healthy volunteers who live in total isolation for 8 months in a simulation mission, and basically you'll be in a facility near Moscow if you go for it.
8 months.
Yeah, for 8 months. The astronauts
Doing nothing next week.
may never leave the ground, but they'll be subject to all sorts of stresses and strains of an 8-month journey to Mars. The Russian facility, the Institute of Biometrical Problems, has played host to this kind of situation before, and the longest being an epic 520-day mission that started in June 2010. So they've done it before. So yeah, if you're interested, you can Google that and sign yourself up. There's a few news stories on the news feed about it. So would you do it 8 months?
If they could do a big podcast for the weekend. Yeah.
Like
Why not?
remote from
Do
the
that.
isolation station in Russia. He's
Okay.
the fucking
As
the
long as you're gonna
cosmonaut
feed
with
me,
the
pay
with
me.
the most. Well,
Traveling. As long as they feed me, pay me, I've my accommodation.
I think I'm going a bit crazy already in terms of isolation, so I don't know if I could do 8 months. How many months have we done so far? 3?
Yeah, but then it's
Listen,
8 months
there's a
doing
reason.
stuff.
There's a reason why. Yeah. Isolation is a punishment in prisons. Yeah, it's not fun. It's not clever. Yeah, right.
Well, it depends what you're
Yeah,
doing.
it's the worst punishment you can give a prisoner. Stick him in isolation, right?
That's
Fair
like
enough.
saying
I've
to
got
a
video
minor.
games, but most prisoners do these days as well. So you know what I mean?
That's like saying it to a minor.
What?
You go over there and dig all that hole on your own, go for it. He's doing it because he needs to do it and he's got something to do.
Told him to do it. Well,
Yeah, you're
So
going to have
can-
something to do. They ain't going to sit, right, sit in that corner and don't move. Don't move, put your hands on your head and your finger in your mouth like that.
You're a
Don't
segue machine today, talking of holes. Black hole. A black hole has been discovered so close to Earth it can be visible with the naked eye. Found
What?
it by accident. So a black hole has been discovered.
That's what it is.
What?
Bit dirty, isn't it?
Yeah, but well, the thing about black holes is the black. The thing about dirt is it's
Yeah.
black.
Black.
Yeah. Well, the black hole has been discovered right in our cosmic backyard, but little did we know that it would we nearly never knew about this amazing find. So close to us. Nearly 2 decades ago, we were basically just because of a freak accident we found it. Yeah. I'm not sure why that was 2 decades ago. So 1,000 light years away from Earth lurks a massive hidden object, at least 4 times heavier as the subbot. If any light were able to escape the object, it's got too much of an intense gravitational pull. You'd be able to see it with the naked eye. So astronomers were able to detect it because of it's part of an orbital group of objects called HR 6819 that includes 2 stars. The stars are orbiting what looks like an empty void of space, but the center of that void lurks a black hole, and the black hole are almost like exotic objects. They don't really come up very often. So the super dense remnants of a collapsed star, their gravitational field is so powerful that not even light can escape them. So they found that whilst this black hole was hidden in the center of HR 6819, it's only just been discovered, and it could have been revealed many years ago if they would have had a look properly. Do you know what I mean?
You find a lot of that. You do find a lot of that if you think about it. You find a lot of the scholars from history.
Well, it's all about kind of like new
and then
science.
later on,
It's new science that comes out. It's like they've looked at that back in the day and went, "Oh, it's void space."
Yeah.
Whereas
it's
now,
football.
with a new scientific eye and new theories and other examples that they might look at it and go, "Well, that looks like that other thing we did where we saw and there was a black hole there." So maybe, and it forces them to go and look. So that's all good news in my opinion. I think that the fact that they found it. Yeah, but being so close to us, could that give us problems?
How far was it?
1,000 light years.
1,000 light years.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty close. That.
That's pretty close.
Yeah, if you think
Well.
about it, from the gravity he pulled from a black hole, it goes out for a distance. It's
And
not just,
they're telling us about this now?
and it could be the issue. It could be actually the reason why the solar system's warming up and why we're
Potentially.
having all this.
Yeah, everything's being pulled
And the
into its
tilt,
dense
tilt,
field.
yeah,
Yeah,
everywhere
see?
else.
It could have repercussions,
Goes an
but,
answer, yeah.
we'll have to have a look into this, but it's quite interesting.
Yeah.
Lurking
Okay.
black holes in voids of space.
Going to have a good look into that.
Well, that's it for the news. Have you got any NASA news you want to talk about quick? We've got We've not really got much time, but go for it.
No.
No.
Oh, well, I heard something about the Independent bringing out something about the centre of the universe has a disc.
Like a record player.
A massive disc, and it happened a couple of seconds, not long after the Big Bang. So
Right,
now
okay.
it knocks the Big Bang effect out of the area, apparently. There's still questions about it. They're just saying that they believe that they found a solid, basically, object disc in the centre
In the centre of the universe.
Yeah, and it's
Who
like,
knows what the centre of the Earth universe is, though? Do you know what I mean? Because it was like for
well,
years they
where
thought
the
the
Big
Earth
Bang
was the centre
started.
of the universe.
Because they try and calculate it. You know, like time, they try and calculate in normal time, going out milliseconds and
You
that.
run out of brew.
Oh, I haven't. And there's another word, I think, wood time or something like that. And basically, it goes.
They can basically try and work it out from the explosion outwards, sort of thing.
Yeah. It's going really, really.
So what did they say? What it might be? Have they got any ideas of what it could potentially be?
No idea what it could be. But if it
The
ends up
mothership
that is true, then presumably the Big Bang won't have been started on its own.
Okay, so
And
then
this
there must have been.
object
Well, I
is
think that's the question, isn't it? Because when you come back down to the Big Bang, it's like, well, what sparked off the Big Bang, and then what created the thing that sparked off the Big Bang, and then what created the thing that created the thing that sparked off the Big Bang. It's like you fucking go over. It's an infinity question, and it's just.
I don't think we'll ever get the answer at the end.
No, well, we definitely won't. But if you want to read up on this sort of stuff, there's plenty of books on Audible, this week's sponsor, and you can go over to Audible, follow the link in the description, and you can sign up for 30 days free trial where you can get books about pretty much anything. You can get a free book of your choice, as well as 2 Audible originals, I think. So get over there. Also, you can sign up to a 3 months free Amazon Music trial as well. 3 months free.
Go for it. 3 months free.
Also, we've got our Amazon affiliate link, so do your regular shopping, and we get a little something for that as well. If you want to help us out or email us, you can get in touch over at. Whoa, I've lost my mouse. There you
You don't want to lose your mouse.
Twitter at NASA_never, or check out our images and pretty pictures over at NASA Never Straight Answer over on Instagram.
Yeah, because
we are
Golden's there now.
neverstraightanswer.co.uk if you want to go over and check the website out, or email us at neverstraightanswer@gmail.com. We're always around about, so just get in touch. And if you want to help us out on Patreon, go to www.patreon.com/neverstraightanswer and help us out. There's a few tiers there you can join up, get extra bits and pieces. It's all good and helps us out a lot. So we're available on all podcast platforms, so make sure you subscribe to iTunes, Spotify, where else, YouTube, fucking wherever you get your podcast fix. It's all good. We got some shout outs just before the end of the show as well. And talking about Patreon, big shout out to our fucking amazing Patreons. We salute you, and a round of applause for you guys. Big shout out to Jay for just being a fucking legend. Fucking, what can we say? Catch a big fish for us. Big shout out to Jessie G. She's fucking rock star. What can you see? She's fucking amazing. Shout out to Dunk and Swoosh for being our Patreons of the week. If you want to get on and become a Patreon, you know what to do. Support the boys over at NASA. More shout outs for podcasts that we like and recommend. The Ladies of Justice podcast.
Yes,
get over and
ladies.
subscribe. Deep in History podcast.
Yes,
Some quality research going in every week. Check that out. Big shout out to Mr. Crabtree. Hope you're well. I hope your family's good, and hope you're still enjoying the show. Big shout out to Gareth. Hope you're doing all right as well, mate. I'll be in touch very shortly. We've not forgot about you. And in fact, I'm going to give you props for inputting tonight's show in terms of Starship camo, because I know we had a conversation very similar to that a while ago. Shout out to Susie and Chris, big supporters, and Agent Coulson. Still wants to come on. We told you to come on the show. We'll talk aliens and whatever you want. Yeah. Fucking, I know he's into some mad shit. Big shout out to the girls, Jess and Jen, at the Not So Minnesota Nice podcast. Make sure you get over there. I know they're recording tonight, so there'll be a new episode available in their stream today. Make sure you check them out. Big shout out to EJ and Liz Reader. Also, Brian, hope you're doing well over in Connecticut. Shout out to Gruber, John and Jim for listening. Hope you're well in the lockdown, boys, and taking care of each other and everything. Big shout out to Troy for tonight's Blackpool inspired What's Fucked Up Where You're From. And a big shout out to Your Brain on Facts, which is another website that you should go and check out, and check out their podcast as well. And a little bit of I'm not going to give a big shout out, but a wee shout out to Treacle. Treacle. Anyway, so that's it. That's the shout outs. I think that's the end of the show. So yeah, we'll catch you next week, where we'll have another crazy topic and another thing to talk about. Maybe we'll be together, maybe we'll be apart, but we'll see you next week for another episode of Never a Straight Answer. I've been Gaz.
I've been Taylor.
Peace. Bye. Love you.